All right. So can you hear me? Yeah. How excited are we to be here today? How excited. So what groups do we have here? I know there's Black Girls Code. Girls Inc? All Stars. Who are we missing? So if you're with Black Girls Code, let me hear you. Okay, Girls Inc? All right, All Star. It's just you? Yeah. Oh, it's girls, okay. Yeah, okay, sorry. Well, my name is Wendy, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. Talking to middle schoolers, high schoolers, people that are remotely interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's very exciting to me. And I work for NASA Ames Research Center right here in Mountain View. And today I'll kind of tell you a bit about my story, how I got here, what I did in middle school and high school and college, what I liked to do, what I do now. And feel free to ask me any questions along the way. Any questions? So, early days, I found these baby pictures of me looking like a little boy with my little side part. My mom used to like to do my hair like that. And for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be an engineer. And I've wanted to be an engineer. My parents, I'm Nigerian, and when you're young, who knows where Nigeria is? All right. It's a country in West Africa, and Nigerian parents tend to put things in their children's heads, right? They tell them when they're 2 and 3, you're gonna be a doctor, right? She knows. You're gonna be an engineer. You're gonna be a lawyer. And you don't even know what that meant, so you tell everyone, yeah, I'm gonna be an engineer. What is that? I don't know. So they told me I was gonna be an engineer, and there's my mom right there. And there was one day in the 3rd grade, it was career day, and we had to tell everyone in class what we were gonna be when we grew up, right? And so everyone around the class goes and says what they're gonna be, and it gets to my turn. And what was I gonna be? What did I tell them? Engineer. I said, I'm gonna be an engineer. I know exactly what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be an engineer. And the class was silent. Not a word. You could hear a pin drop. And my teacher said, you're gonna be an engineer? You're gonna fix ceiling fans? That's for boys. You're gonna be a technician? And the class laughed at me. And she laughed at me. And everyone thought it was funny. I was embarrassed. And I went home and I told this woman, I told my mom, I said, I'm not gonna be an engineer anymore. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna be fixing ceiling fans. I wanna be cute and girly, and I don't wanna do that. She said, who said that? I said, my teacher in the 3rd grade, she told me that's all I was gonna do if I decided to be an engineer. And my mom said, that's not true. And she said other things as well, but I'll just say she said that's not true. And she told me about all the cool things that engineers did, things like design aircraft and spacecraft that, take people to the moon and beyond. So that's my mom and my 2 sisters. My oldest sister, Phyllis and Jennifer, they're my rock, right? They're just so supportive. And they're so strong when I'm not strong. And they protect me, and they've always, My sister here, she's a medical doctor now. And even in elementary school, I was, 7, 8 years old. She'd go to school, learn about biology and osmosis and diffusion. And she would come home and teach me these things. I'd be walking with her, and she's like, with osmosis, like when you fart, Wendy, and we can smell in the other room. I'm like, no, when you fart. She's like, no, when you fart, and I can smell it. She's like, that's the process that, the smell moves through, and we're able to know that Wendy has farted in the other room. I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work, right? So she was really smart, and she taught me a lot of things even when I was very young. She would teach me all the things she knew. How many of us here have little brothers and sisters? How many of us here read to our little brothers and sisters? How many? Right? So have a mentor, be a mentor, teach your little brothers and sisters, your cousins, the things that you know, read to them, guide them, help them, right? My other sister, Jennifer here, oh goodness, till today, just so strong, right? Nobody could bid on her sister but her. So if I told her something happened, someone did something to me at school, who did it? And they were just so supportive and so strong, and I love them with everything that is in me. And like Kanye said, if you admire somebody, you should go ahead and tell them people never get the flowers while they can still smell them. These are idols in my eyes, my big sisters, Phyllis and Jennifer, number one to me. And this is me when I was young, my father, my brother, my little brother, he's 9 years younger than me, he's so young, and he's my only brother, my parents. So, middle and high school, what was I like in middle school and high school? So I went to an all-girls high school and all-girls middle school as well, and we wore uniforms. And I'm telling you, showing a bit about my middle and high school story was, I didn't particularly fit into any mold. Sometimes you think someone that's gonna be an engineer likes to break things down and build them up, and I didn't really. I just liked math and physics and chemistry. I was pretty good at it. But I also like things very orderly, right? I like things to be in order. I didn't like to make a mess. I didn't really go out and play during recess. I didn't like to get dirty, none of that, right? So there isn't really a kind of person that gets to be an engineer. Sometimes you just want to answer questions and think. So I remember doing a lot of homework. I remember having to do homework, but I didn't study like, oh, I'm just gonna open my books and study all the time and break things apart and take apart the TV. I never did that. So different kinds of people can be engineers, scientists, and mathematicians. You don't have to fit into any certain mold. And so this is a picture of me in college that I grabbed from my Facebook. And one of the comments on this picture when I put it up was, you know someone is into their books when their bed is fused with their study table. And I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't fuse my bed with my study table just because I liked to study. I thought it was the best use of the space I had in my room. But there were days I would literally go from my bed to the study table to do homework. College, homework, and more homework. If there's one thing that I can leave you with today that you absolutely have to remember when you get to college, is to do your homework, right? Nobody tells you, oh, you absolutely should do your homework. You just think, oh, you should. Yeah, you have exams and you have homework, but in engineering, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a good scientist or a mathematician, do your homework. It's a lot of work, but you should at least attempt to do it. Let's say homework is 30% of your grade, and your exams are 70% of your grade. And if you do really, really well in all of your exams and you get 70%, that's still a C, right? But if you do your homework well, even if you don't get the 30%, that 15, 17, 18% can move you up to a B. And if you pay attention in class and you're a good student, then your professor will easily bump you up to an A, and that's how you get a 4.0 GPA. So do your homework, do your homework. This is me, my last year of undergrad. This was a senior design project. I spent so much time in the lab. And I'm showing you these pictures, but I also did other things in college. For one, I was in the dance team for the African Students Organization, and we had dance practice twice a week, 4 hours on Saturday, a couple hours during the week, and it was a lot of work. And I was also involved with the Society of Women Engineers as the president and the professional PR for my university. So this is to say that if there's something that interests you, it's not just school. Do the things that you enjoy, right? Do the things that you want to do. Get involved. If your school has a local chess club and you like to play chess, get involved, right? Play chess and maybe become the president of the organization. Just do things that you like to do so you can enjoy your time through the hard work that you also have to get through as well. So while I was in undergrad, I did a couple of internships. Who knows what an internship is? Who wants to tell me? I saw your hand go up first, so you can tell me.
So an internship is when you go to some place and work at the future, and it's kind of just like you just try out what might be there, so you can get a feel of what you're doing.
Exactly. Yes, it's a job, but it's a job that you do typically when do you do this job? While you're in school, right? Sometimes every day. Yes?
Isn't it like an intern, someone who goes on the desk, kind of in doctor appointments? They tell you where exactly to go and when to go?
It could be. So you could do that kind of job while you're a student as well. And cool glasses, by the way. Who else? Yes?
An internship is like a job where you
Yes, yes, you give a presentation at the end, right? So you're a student, you're taking classes, and then you go to kind of apply what you learn in school, in real life, right? You want to apply it to the real world and see how much more you can learn. So why would you want to do an internship?
I think literally to learn about something that you want to do or just to be able to.
Exactly, exactly, yes. To get a job. Very smart, right? You do it to get a job too, because they already know you. You worked with them when you were in school, so it's easier to bring you on. So you get a job. So you don't just go to school and learn and hope, you get good grades and then you step out when you're done with school and say, hey, I have a 4.0, hire me. You could do a little more, right, to make yourself more competitive, even if you don't have a 4.0, even if you don't have a great GPA. If you have that internship experience, it shows that, oh, this is someone that other people have trusted to do some work for them even while they were a student. So maybe I could trust them too. And they will pay you more if you have internship experience. Who knew that? Who knew they'd pay you more? Your experiences count, right? So internships. My third year, or I believe second year in undergrad, second or third, I got the opportunity to intern with Lockheed Martin in Houston. So I went to school in Texas, the University of Texas at Arlington, my alma mater. I'm a Texas girl, even though now I'm a Cali girl. And I interned with Lockheed in Houston working on Orion. Orion is NASA's replacement for Apollo that's supposed to take man to low Earth orbit and beyond. And I worked there the first summer I was there in the requirements management division. So systems engineering. Requirements is kind of like you decide what the vehicle is supposed to do when you write those requirements down, and then you flow it down. Oh, this specific component is supposed to do this and supposed to last this long. And you track and keep track of all these things so that as you're designing your spacecraft or whatever it is you're designing, it's meeting those requirements that you have defined and stipulated in the past. So I worked with the requirements management division to track the requirements. I realized that was great, but I realized it was also something I wasn't very interested in. Right? So that's another reason you do internships, because you don't know what you like. So you see it, and then you get to the point where like, yeah, I don't like that as much. I'm not as interested. So I went back the following summer, and I worked with the mechanical engineering team on the hatches. The hatches on a spacecraft are basically the doors. So looking at them and making sure that they can withstand certain vibrations, testing, analysis. This is important work that needs to be done if this is going to hold astronauts. So I did that in undergrad and liked it, but my internships also showed me that there was a lot that I didn't know, right? When you're working with some really smart people, you realize that there's a lot that's out there that you still don't know, and you want to learn it all, right? And so you could do research, or you could go to grad school and learn some more in addition to what you've learned in college. So internships will show you how little you know, and I started to think, okay, I want to know more. So I went on to grad school. I got an opportunity with one of my undergraduate professors, Dr. Attila Dogan. This man was very instrumental in my progress, and he's very instrumental in me being here. He offered this opportunity to the class and said, I was still in undergrad, and he was like, okay, there's an opportunity for someone to come do some research with me in aircraft formation flight, and we can go to the Air Force Research Lab in Wright-Patterson, Dayton, Ohio, and do this work. I'm like, oh, this sounds cool. I want to do it. And I thought everyone else wanted to do it, but I found it was only me. So I started to do this research with him as an undergrad, and we went over to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in 2010 for 3 consecutive summers. We were doing that, and I stayed on with him for grad school for my PhD, and I did this research. So when you think about aircraft formation flights, who has seen birds flying in formation when they, yes. Who knows why they do that? Why?
It's not, it's just like in a V formation, the bird that's at the end of the V formation, the birds can see the bird in front, and that bird will know where the ball is going, so those birds will follow the bird in the front.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Yes?
Could fly information, some of the birds just taking more of the wind than the other birds, so some of them can rest more. Can slightly rest their nose to fly, to go in front of the bird.
We're getting closer. Yes. So birds are really smart, right? They know how to fly like that. So the birds in the front they require more energy to fly in that position. And the ones trailing, they don't have to do as much work as the ones in front because of the upwash and the winds that are generated from the birds in front. So if you take that kind of analogy and technology and apply it to planes, if you fly planes in a formation like that, extended formation, not as close, right? The trailing ones don't require as much thrust and fuel to fly. So they can actually save fuel by flying like that. And that was what I did for my PhD, my research. I spent 5 years on, and it was just awesome and really cool discovering, oh, how much fuel savings can you obtain? How much fuel can you save when you fly planes like birds? So I did this, and this was a simulation that we created based on one of the researchers at the Air Force Research Lab, his work, and we created this simulation to show, oh, this is 2 aircraft flying in a formation like that, and how does that trail aircraft handle the wind when it goes directly behind. And so even while I was in grad school, that could be considered an internship, and then another internship with Lockheed again in Fort Worth, Texas. Who knows what this plane is? Yes, this is the SR-71 Blackbird. During the Cold War, the CIA comes to Lockheed and says, we need you guys to design a plane that can't be shut down, right? And so this guy called Kelly Johnson, in charge of the advanced development programs, goes and grabs a few people, puts them in a tent, and creates this team called Skunk Works, the advanced development programs for Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works. And they build this plane, and this plane could go coast to coast in 67 minutes. 67 minutes coast to coast. I just came back from Florida yesterday, and guess how long it took me to get back from Florida to California? Yeah, 5.5. I was exhausted. So if I could be in a plane that would take me coast to coast in 67 minutes, yeah, sign me up. And so till today, pilots talk about how cool it was to fly. This was the fastest flying manned aircraft, coast to coast in 67 minutes. So this team, I got an internship to work with this group. Yeah. So you can imagine that I freaked out, right? I was like, I'm sure these guys are so smart. What am I going to bring here? What am I going to be doing, right? Do any of us ever wonder that? Yeah, right? Imposter syndrome. We think we're not that smart and we shouldn't be there. And how do we get there? And are they going to figure out that we're not that smart and are we going to fail? So I got to work with these guys on a project for the F-35. This was a NAV-Air contract. So the Navy buys the F-35C, one of the variants for the F-35 aircraft. And we had to work on optimizing the control surfaces for this. I was like, okay, what am I doing here, right? And so my first week there, I was looking at the code, and I found an error. I was like, okay, I don't think this should be subtracting here. And I'm working through the code. I'm like, this doesn't seem quite right. And I brought it up to the person I was working with, and we fixed that. And after that, it started to work, and we started to see results converge. And I got happy. I was like, well, maybe I'm a little smart after all. So that fixed the imposter syndrome for a while. But this is a really, really cool project that I got to work on with Lockheed. So what do I do now? What do I do now? Before I tell you what I do now, I want to show you this picture. For some of us in the audience, we find ourselves interested or doing things with people that don't always look like us. Yes? No? Yes, right? And sometimes it's hard to handle that. This is a picture from an award session for the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics that I received in 2015. And this is me, and these are the rest of the awardees. And as a result of sometimes being in places that you don't really fit, It doesn't seem like you fit the mold of what that place should look like. Sometimes people will ask you questions of how you got there and why you're there, right? Sometimes people will talk to you like you don't, like, how are you here? So one time I got a question like that, like, who asked you to be at so-and-so meeting/event? And I was like, well, how dare you ask me that? You know, if I looked like any of these people in the picture, would you ask me such a question? Or would you ask me maybe with respect? Or would you go behind and try to find out how I got there, but not ask me, how did you get, why are you there? And so I, was responding to the person. I wasn't particularly angry because I was like, well, maybe I might get to work with this person closely in other environments, and maybe I could learn from this person. So I didn't get crazy. I didn't go off and tie-ball angrily and none of that. But I was like, okay, let's meet in my office. And before they came to my office, I had a bookshelf that was empty. I didn't know what to put in it. I didn't want to, I just didn't know what to do with it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure out what to do with this bookshelf. But that incident with the question of why were you there told me sometimes you kind of have to show people who you are so that they treat you with respect. And the reason is the kind of feedback you get when people think you are supposed to be there and you're worth it is different, right? They speak to you a little differently. So this is what I did with that bookshelf. Yeah, these are just some of them. And when they came in my office, they saw them like, oh, this is nice. I'm like, yes, it is. Any problems? But then they started to respect me, and they treated me differently. So sometimes that'll happen where it's not always smooth sailing, right? It's not always smooth sailing. And for me, I think that's what's really important for me to let you guys know here today, that it's not always easy, but if you want something badly enough, and if you put in the work and your work speaks for you and it speaks for itself, then people will respect you, right? But things won't be handed to you on a platter. So what do I do now? So I said I work at NASA Ames. I'm in the Intelligence Systems Division, and I work also as the Special Emphasis Programs Manager for all women at the center. So I work with the Office of Diversity and Equal Opportunity to make sure that we're doing what we can to recruit, retain, hire, and promote women at the center and bring them in. But I'm also a researcher. I'm an aerospace engineer, so I work in the Intelligence Systems Division, and I'm with the Diagnostics and Prognostics Group, and we work in the science of failure. It's pretty cool, right? How many of us in here like candy? Candy. What's your favorite? Yes. What's your favorite kind of candy? You said I do.
Yeah,
Hershey. What's your name?
Sammy.
James.
Sammy.
Sammy? Okay. How about you?
My favorite type of candy is Snickers.
Snickers. Yes. What is it? Mad what? Butterfinger. Okay, yes. Yeah. Twix. So I'm not a candy person. I don't have a sweet tooth. I have a salt tooth. I like salt. So yeah, we're a little weird. How about you? Kit Kat. Okay, so let's think about this. What's your name? Sophia and Sammy. Sophia and Sammy. Kit Kat and Hershey's. Okay. So Sophia and Sammy go to a birthday party next week. And Sophia eats 10 pieces of Kit Kat and he eats 10 Hershey's. Or let's say 50-50. Yeah, let's say we go all out, 50 and 50, right? So, do we know what's going to happen to their teeth? What's going to happen? Cavities. Do we know whose cavities are going to be worse than the other? No? Why don't we know? Yeah? So we don't know? Or we could assume that they are going to be yes. We could see how much sugar each one has to determine if they're going to be just as bad. We don't know, right? What if before Sammy ate 50 Hershey's, he was flossing and brushing his teeth twice a day for the past 5 years? What if he had? He wouldn't be as bad, right? right? It wouldn't be as bad. What if he hadn't, right? It'd be worse. So that is the science of failure. You take into consideration all these things, and then you estimate, when are Sammy's teeth going to be done? Useless, right? So you figure it out. You take into consideration all these factors. So you do that for aircraft components, system of systems. You look at what's happened in the past. What condition is the system operating in now? And what is it expected to be subjected to in the future? Because what happens to Sammy's teeth will also depend on if he eats candy in the future, right? What if he eats 50 pieces and he never eats candy again? What if that happens, right? So these are all the things you have to think about. So it's an art, it's a science of failure. So NASA is so cool. I really love what I do. I get to do all these fun stuff, but then I also get to pursue ideas that I have, right? So I can have an idea of, what if I could land something more precisely? What if I could do that? Will someone give me the money to kind of figure that out? And so here's a video of a challenge that came out. The primary investigator is a good friend of mine, Dr. D'Souza. She created this team. She's like, okay, let's put a pitch together to ask for money to pursue this idea of precise landing and navigation. And we had to create a video to submit to the reviewers to see if they'll give us the money, right? So here's the video we came up with.
Brandon,
Oh, hey, Sarah.
your entry vehicle landed in my cereal when I
Oh,
was
I'm
eating
sorry.
breakfast.
I didn't mean for that to happen. We haven't figured out precision landing yet.
Oh,
It does a bunch of other cool stuff, though. Let me show you.
all right.
ArcJet testing has shown that Adept can survive the high temperatures of re-entry, and we've shown that it can deploy successfully. The next step is to figure out a system that can enable precision landing.
Brandon, I've been looking at the problem and I think we can take Adept to the next TRL. Let me show you.
Guidance and control during entry is critical for precision landing, so we will simulate 3 control systems in this extensible MDAO framework in order to deliver a functional GNC prototype and demonstrate we can achieve precision landing.
Let's call some experts.
Dr. Robinson, this is Sarah. I'm thrilled to be collaborating with UC Davis on this game-changing technology.
Hello, this is Brianna Johnson at Johnson Space Center.
You in?
Absolutely, I'm excited to be the lead for the Flight Dynamics and Guidance team.
Ken, this is Brandon. Your innovative system integration approach at APL is just what we need for our proposal. Are you in?
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Sarah.
Would you like to be the controls lead for this project?
Of course, I'd be excited to apply my controls experience to a spaceflight mission, but who's going to design the mission?
I know just the person.
Huh.
Hi, Tracy.
Oh, hey, Sarah.
Would you like to be the mission design lead for this project?
Oh, I'd love to. And I have experience at Ames that'll help me make sure we have a successful concept. But who's going to do the aerothermal?
I think it should be Ben Nikaido.
Absolutely. I'd love to contribute to a future Mars mission.
Okay, so we'll apply our innovative project management approach.
Right. By using Agile for software development in the first year and critical path management for hardware in the second year.
We can definitely deliver a functional GNC prototype for Adept in 2 years.
Let's
do this!
Call it how it is. Hendrix. I promise I swear.
So, yeah. So these are the kind of really, really cool things. Really, really cool things that we get to do at NASA, right? You can bring your ideas, your thoughts, and pursue them in the way you know with your mind that is unique, right? Who do you think came up with that song for that video? Who do you? Yeah, whose suggestion was it to put it in there? Yeah, exactly. Who was at a Future concert a few months ago? Exactly, right? So you bring your unique perspectives to your group, right? You bring all of you there. So just a quick overview of everything that I've shared with you guys today and what I think you should know to succeed or to be an engineer or to be a scientist, a mathematician, whatever it is you want to be. First tip, sit in front of the class. Sit in front of the class, even if you don't want to be there. Sit in front, be visible, because everyone can see you. The people texting, the ones not paying attention right here, these two boys, I've been watching you all day. Be visible, pay attention, right? Right? Learn to listen. Who was taught how to listen? Whoever said, I'm going to sit you down and teach you how to listen? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who was taught how to read? Everyone. Who was taught how to write? Yeah. But people don't really teach you how to listen, right? They just assume you listen. But no one actually sits you down and teaches you how to listen. So when you start to zone in and out, no one teaches you to bring yourself back in. This is something you need to learn. It'll save you time. It'll improve your quality of life. When you're in college and you're in class and you're texting throughout and your teacher is teaching, you're only there because he takes attendance, so you're texting, right? And he's teaching. When you go home, what do you have to do? So before you do that homework, what do you have to do? You have to study what he just taught you in class. That's going to take you an additional, 2 hours. So you study 3 hours, 4 hours, then you do the homework. And then you're pissed that you didn't get enough sleep and you didn't get to hang out with your friends, right? Listen. You need to listen in class. It saves you so much time, right? And then he gives you those tips, or she gives you those tips in class that if you weren't paying attention to, you miss. Remember, your teachers can see you, right? So they don't always say anything, but they can see you, right? They're not like, oh, these old people that don't understand, that don't get it. They've been there. They can see you. They're just not going to say anything because it's your loss. Did you have a question? No? Okay. Yeah, it's your loss. So they can see you. They're not going to say anything, but they can see you. And it will affect if you're at an 88.5 or 89.5 and you were that kid in the class that was always texting, never paying attention, showing in late, walking in and out. You think they're going to bump you to an A? Would you bump you to an A? No. Exactly. So why should they? You didn't care. Why should they care for you? Not happening. Ask questions. That's a good question, right? He's worried about his food, his tummy, he's like, I gotta eat. Ask questions if you don't understand. Do all your homework, right? I said this already. Do all your homework, all your projects. And have mentors and be a mentor. Mentor the kids you know, right? It's not always about you. Sometimes it's about giving back. Support one another, right? If there's one thing you can take away from today, support one another. You're not each other's competition. Support one another. Life is difficult enough as it is. And then learn to fly, change the world, and have fun doing it. The one thing that I want to tell you is there is no mold of what an engineer should look like, what a coder should look like, what a statistician, a mathematician should look like. There isn't a group of people that STEM is reserved for, while others get to be models and athletes, right? It's for everyone, right? You have a unique mind. There's only one you in this world, right? There's only one you on God's green earth, or is it God's blue earth? Depending on how close you are. Both. It's both, right? Yeah. It's 70% water, so if you're closer to the earth, it seems brown. You move out a little, it's green, but then from the space station, it's this beautiful blue planet, right? But there's only one you with your unique mind and your unique perspective, so you need to bring that in because we need you, right, for all of these solutions that we're trying to create. And it doesn't just happen in one day. You don't just wake up and learn to fly. You don't just soar. You have to put in the work, you have to learn, and you have to continue practicing. So that's it. Thank you for having me. Any questions? Thank you. Yes. I missed that. I'm Igbo. How about you? Okay, cool, close. What's your name? Victoria, nice to meet you. Any questions or yes?
Ask any questions for Wendy right now.
Yes, I was. Any questions? Any others? Yes.
How did you decide to make it?
My father. So I knew it was engineering for me, so I was stuck between mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, and petroleum engineering, because Nigeria is oil rich. I was like, maybe petroleum. So it was mechanical or aerospace, because petroleum didn't seem interesting to me. My dad's like, oh, you got to do aerospace. It's cool. You got to do aerospace. It's great. I was like, you sure? He's like, yes, you got to do it. You got to do it. I'm like, okay. So I did it, and I loved it. I loved it. So he was very instrumental in that regard. My dad was. So hopefully he sees this and knows this. Yeah. But you find what you like. Find the classes you like in school. Find what you like in practice. Even in high school, you can probably do an internship too. Yeah. Yes. Say that again. So one is 8 years older than me, the other is 6 years older than me, the boy's 9 years younger than me. So I'm the one in the middle with like all this gap. Yeah, that's why they're my big sisters, you know. You do? Do you teach your younger brothers? Good. Great, great, awesome. Yes? 3. 2 older sisters, 1 younger brother. Are you gonna ask a disruptive question? What is it? How old am I? 28. Yes. If I wasn't doing engineering, like not at all, nothing in STEM, nothing at all in STEM. This is a hard question. This girl, what's your name? Sophia. If I wasn't doing engineering, and it wasn't anything engineering related or medical, I'd probably be a dancer. Yeah. Yeah, I've been dancing for as long as I can remember. What'd you say? Bust the move. I can do the Millie Rock. Yes. Yes. April 22nd, when's yours? Oh, you're December, baby. 3rd of October. One more question over there I saw. Yes. How much do I get paid? Next question. Yeah. Yes. Wait, I can hear. Say that again. I started working with them last year. Yeah, last winter. So I graduated 2015, took a year off and traveled the world. I was a baby girl for a year and a half, and then I started working. Yes. Yes. What? How do I feel about what? About my job, what I do, my work? Oh, I love it. I feel very blessed and very fortunate. And I'm not just saying that, right? Because I've done things that I wasn't happy to do, but I really love my job because I get to, so NASA does work that, NASA wants to change the world, right? We don't do things for ourselves and keep it all to ourselves. Baby formula. Who knew that baby formula and the nutrients that go in were invented by NASA? So there's like you did, right? It's awesome. The x-rays, the technology that your dentist uses to check your teeth after you eat all that candy. Sammy and Sophie, I see you texting, right? All that, right? It's NASA. So we get to do things that actually change the world. And we get to do I get to do things like this, right? And this is exciting, this is cool. And I get to work with young people. I have interns year round. I had 4 interns last summer. I have 1 emerging leader working with me now. So it's very exciting. I really, really, really like what I do.
All right, Seriously. Let's give one more big round of applause for Wendy.